Hi everyone, it's Nelly here with the next installment of Gen Con 2012. And in this video, I'm going to review or at least discuss the type of games that I was in and just the gaming part of it in general, which was awesome. I went to, let me see, 8 games that I'm going to talk about here, and I'm going to talk about them individually in a second. But there's some general things that I was going to talk about first. So the first thing was generic tickets. Generic tickets are $1, $2, something like that, and you can buy them along with your tickets, or you can buy them in the convention center as well. But if you have them, they can be used for, say, the mech pods outside the dealer hall. They can be used for some events don't require actual tickets. Sometimes generic tickets are fine. But also, if there's a particular game that you really wanted to get into, but you didn't get, it's always good to just show up with some generic tickets to that game. And if some of the people don't actually show up, the GM might allow you to enter that game with your generic tickets. So that's really handy. And when I first was signing up for my games, I was like, oh, well, I missed that game, I'm not going to bother. But when I went to the convention, it was shocking how many people actually just either didn't go to the game, didn't show up, for whatever reason. In a lot of games, there was leftover space all the time. So those generic tickets do come in handy if there's something you were really looking forward to, or just to have on hand if you're walking past somewhere and something looks interesting to you or sounds interesting, you can just go and see if the GM will let you in with your generic tickets. So they're well worth it. Now my next point was about people not showing up for games, and I was actually surprised at the amount of people that just don't come, just don't show up. There was one game, I think it was on Thursday evening. It was kind of like a LARP or something like that, and I think it had space. I think all 30 tickets for it had run out, and I think 8 or 9 people showed up. Now that was really sad to see, because the GM clearly had spent a lot of time preparing for it, preparing notes, doing his research, and then when people just don't show up, it's really sad. So if you're not going to be able to make it to an event, it's something that you can foresee, maybe if you're even going to be late, the contact details for the GM are going to be within the events listing on the Gen Con page. So just let them know you can't make it so they can give your space away early. Also, you're not going to lose the money that you spent paying for the tickets for that particular event. You can return them and get your money back, or not money back, sorry, but credit for it to spend next year or on a different game. So, but yeah, do bear in mind that the GM does spend considerable amount of time trying to prepare for the game so that everybody can enjoy it. And then if somebody just blatantly doesn't show up, it I don't know, it kind of wastes their time, and maybe some of the players, because obviously if some players for five people game don't show up, there's only 2 people there, the GM sometimes just can't run the game. So not only has he wasted his time preparing for it, but also the other players that really wanted to play that game can't. So if there's any way for seeing that you can't make it to a game, please let them know first. But on the other hand, it does happen that you run late, or that you just can't make it and there's no way of getting in touch with the GM, and that does happen. That's fine. But if there's a way of letting them know, do. Lastly, if there's really a game that you really want to play, but you've never played the system, it just sounds cool, and you have tickets for it already, email the GM. Just tell them, look, I've never played this game before. Is there anything I need to bring, do them beforehand? Is there anything I should read? Generally, they'll say, don't worry, everything will be there in game for you. They'll take care of you then and there. But, it's nice to let them know. And also, it lets them know that the person that bought a ticket to their event is actually really interested in it. And I did that a few times, and in every occasion, they were very friendly, and they were very thankful that I'd let them know that I was looking forward to their game. So, probably worth doing that. Now, I'm already 4.5 minutes in, so I'm going to get to the games. The first game that I played was part of the KFG events, and it was Gene was running a 24 game, and he's from Blade Runner Press. I'm going to add a link below. And the game was that there was, I don't know how many, 6, 7 of us in the game, And the game was that we were a group of gamers at Gen Con in one of the hotels playing a game. And it's an RPG, sorry, I should have said that. And as we're playing this game, basically a big zombie infestation starts, and we have to go around Gen Con. And I don't remember the hotel, I think it was the Marriott. And we had to go around figuring out what this infestation was about and solve the big mystery. But the fun thing was that we were all ourselves, and we all knew each other from outside of the game and inside the game. So it was a whole lot of fun trying to act myself in a game, and what I've learned is that I like pixie sticks and cry a lot. Which I probably would do if there was a zombie infestation as well. But it was so much fun. If he's running it again next year, I would 100% sign up for that again. And if you see it on the listing next year, it's called 20. I think the system's 24. The game was called 24, and it's run by Blade Runner Press. Definitely sign up for it. It was so much fun. And the next games that I played 2 Sparks games. Now, I don't know if anybody's, or if it's a very famous system, but Sparks is it's another RPG, and it's set in the Star Wars world. And yeah, you're just certain characters, RPG characters in that world, and you go around solving mysteries and fighting bad guys, as long as providing you're the good guy. Sorry, I'm rushing through this. I've got a lot to get through, but yes, Sparks is based in the Star Wars system, and you can be Force users, you can be non-Force users, pilots, technicians, engineers, fighters, all sorts of things, like usual RPG. I did enjoy this game a lot. There was a lot of kind of fun quirks. It was it was really good. The storyline that the GMs came up with were always really fun and entertaining, and even though I think they were 4 hours long, even though it was only 4 hours long, there was a lot that we could push into it. It wasn't too heavy in terms of mechanics and stuff like that, which I really enjoyed. The only negative is that in the Spark system, you start with your first level character, and then you bring it to every single game. You bring the same character with you, and that's how you level up. Which is good and it's bad. It was bad for some of the players that had never played before, because they started with level 1 characters, including me. Whereas there was characters there with, I don't know how many levels they had, but a lot of the time it meant that they were really, really highly advanced, and some of us were there throwing rocks or something like that, not really hitting anything. Felt sometimes like we were there for comic relief rather than actually there to hit or kill anything, which was fine. We still had a big load of fun being comic relief, but I think had the character levels been even out a bit more, especially if you're not dead set on the system, if you're not sure if you're going to be coming back to play it again, it would have been handier or nicer if the levels had kind of matched up a bit better and everybody felt like they were on even ground. But yeah, I think if I have time to play it again next year, I would give it another go. So the next game that I ended up playing was called Spot the Geek, and this is actually run by a friend of mine called Kenda. And Spot the Geek is like a scavenger hunt. She did such a great, well done Kenda, you did such a great job with it. Basically what it is that it's a scavenger hunt, and she gave you a list of things and people or something like that you had to go out and find, and little like pirate hats made out of paper. So what you had to do is you had to go around and take pictures of these things or people with pirate hats to prove that you'd taken them at the time during the game. I think it was about 4 hours or 3. But it was right at the big start of the convention, and for me, not having been to Gen Con before, it was the perfect way to run through Indianapolis and the convention center and meet a lot of people, see a lot of things in a very short amount of time. And I think you should totally run it again, Kenda. I thought that was great. But yeah, so there was things like find a Klingon, find a plush Cthulhu that's not green, find Darth Vader, find a stormtrooper, find the Fat Dragon booth in the dealer hall, stuff like that. It was so much fun, and there was actually prizes. I think for almost everybody got something at least to take home, and then there was a first top winner prize. I think they got a set of dice, which was, if this is on next year again, at least some iteration of it, you should totally do a scavenger hunt. It was a lot of fun, really good fun. Well done, Kenda. The next, the next game, I guess, game I went to was Killer Breakfast, and I went to both Friday and Saturdays because I just happened to have time. And I think that was actually the second most expensive games I went to. They were $10 and $12, which was fine. I thought it was worth it. Killer Breakfast is run by Tracy Hickman, and oh gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. There's all and hundreds of people can fit into it, and there's a stage at the front with a long table. I think that seats about 6 to 10 people in a panel. So what they do is Tracy Hickman calls up the first panel and they sit down and he asks them how they got there. I'm gonna link another video describing this way better in the down bar. Sorry, but he kind of goes through it person by person, and it's very quick. And if he doesn't like the answer you've given them, if they're not entertaining enough or something like that, you die, and you have to leave, and the next person immediately comes and takes your spot. And he goes through like 50, 60, 70, 80 people through like a 3 hour game. It's hilarious, so much fun. If you can make it, you should totally make it. I should totally go. Sorry. The first night on Friday, I believe, is always the same game that he ran a few years ago, and then the game on Saturday is usually an entirely new game with new scenarios that he's come up with. And I had so much fun. I am definitely going back next year. Can't miss it. I'm going to go back on Saturday next year. It's already booked in, even now, in September. The next game I was in was a Deadlands game run by Blade Runner Press again, and yes, by Jean. And this was my favorite game of the whole convention. Hands down. I would come back to Gen Con just to play his game again. Now, I don't actually really know how to describe the game, and I'm going to get it wrong, and I'm sorry. But Deadlands, I believe, is a Wild Wild West themed game. It's set in the Wild Wild West. And also, there's magic, and I don't know if there's aliens. There might be aliens in it as well, but there's definitely magic involved. It's kind of, I thought it had a steampunky feel, but it was so much fun. Gene is a really great GM. The story he came up with was so interesting. There was six of us. He actually called in some people with generic tickets because somebody didn't show up, or we just had some extra people that really wanted to play, so we let them in. And we were like Texas Rangers, and some of us had magic powers, and even though our party was split, both stories kind of intertwined in the end, and it was a really interesting way of it's just, I guess I've only played Dungeons and Dragons before, so I've only fought orcs and stuff like that. So it was such an interesting, fun way. We got points for being cliche and stuff like that. And you use a deck of cards, I think, if you're using magic. I wasn't a magic user, so I didn't have to use that. But it was so much fun. And this was a really bad description of it. I'm going to link something in the down bar that explains it better. 13 minutes. Let me see. 3 more things I wanted to go through, so bear with me. The next thing was a Whose Line Is It Anyway game, and I think the tagline was Be As Naughty As You Want to Be. And it was actually exactly like Whose Line Is It Anyway that you get on TV. Before it all started, the GM or the host asked the audience, which was us, there was probably about 30-40 people there, for party tricks or themes or stories, locations, anything like that. And then, she called random people of the audience up to be the panel that would act out, different moves with random objects, or gave them, the dinner party host thing. I didn't go up. I'm way too shy for that kind of stuff. But it was so much fun, and it was nice because you didn't have to do anything. You could just sit there and watch and enjoy it and laugh. And I think that I will be doing that again next year. It was on really late at night. I think it ended at 1 a.m. And it was just a really nice way to just sit there and be mindless about everything and just have a laugh with some friends. So I would recommend that. 2 more things. I played a very, very, very quick game of D&D Next, which was good and bad at the same time. It was good because I played it with, I think, 5-6 people that I actually already knew, so the game flowed very easy. We were very well gelled together as a group. The bad thing, I thought, was that the limitation in terms of time that we had. I don't even remember. It felt like we only had like an hour and a half or something like that. But that also included character generation. And the character generation part, there was actually nobody there that could help you do this. There was nobody that could walk you through how to create a character. They gave you a handout and like basically said, read through it, make your character as quick as possible, and then we'll play a game. So there we are, like frantically writing everything down. I think I was a wizard, and it turned out that I didn't have any spells. They actually forgot to have spells there and I was doing it, and I finally I created my whole character. It took us about 45 minutes to figure it all out. So then by the time we started playing, we only had like a half-hour game left, which was really sad because the game was really fun. And also, being a wizard, I need spells, and they didn't have any spells there when I was making my character. About halfway through the game, they're like, "Oh yeah, here's your spells," which I enjoyed it. I just wish it had been more like a 4-hour game, or maybe they would have had staff there to either provide you pre-generated characters or at least to help you make your character, because we were there with a friend of mine who's never ever played Dungeons and Dragons at all. So not only had we had to help him create his character, but also help him like explain to him how Dungeons and Dragons as a whole works. So that was tough, and I had such a good time at it. I just wish we had more time to play it. It felt like we were kind of railroaded through our adventure. You know, the GM was kind of like, "Oh, you should probably hit this, and you should probably do this kind of role now," which it was all right, but I don't know. Just some more time would have been great. The very last thing I wanted to discuss was True Dungeon. We went on Sunday morning, we did Giant's Travail, and it was so much fun. We actually went with a couple of guys that basically spent their whole convention doing True Dungeon over and over and over again, which really helped because there's definitely some rooms that we would have not necessarily died, but definitely ran out of time in. And when you run out of time, I think that gives you penalties and all sorts of stuff. True Dungeon is a giant dungeon that is in Gen Con. This time it was actually in the convention center, and it was a giant dungeon that you actually physically walk through, and you do fighting using like a flick board, and you flick a hook onto a map, and depending where in the map it hits, you take more hit points off the enemy or magic, which means you have to memorize certain things and then say them back or something like that. But and then there was also puzzles. You had to also solve puzzles and stuff like that. It was amazing. I would definitely recommend this to anybody who hasn't done it before. I don't think I'd be able to. The only reason I wouldn't do it again is because of the cost. I think it was like $40 to play it, which is fine. I would definitely pay that to play it once. I don't think I'd play it again just because of the cost. And if it was any cheaper, I would totally do it again. It was so much fun. And we won. I am a True Dungeon survivor. I got my little button, and I'm going to show it. I'm going to make a video about the swag that I got, so I'm going to show it in that video. And we only won because there was 2 guys with us that had done it before, and they didn't railroad us. They let us do our own stuff, but when it got down to time, and yeah, they really did have to help us out at one point. So I had so much fun. I'm going to link everything that I possibly can that I played in the down bar, because I clearly didn't explain everything very well. But it's just a brief description on the majority of the games that I did play and what I would recommend for next year. So let me see. Let me just check, because I have a list down here, so I keep looking down. And the only thing that I didn't really go into was the mech pods. The mech pods are like those things. There's like 15 of them. They were outside the dealer's hall. They accept generics. And say one round starts, 15 people go physically into these mech pods, and it's kind of like an arcade type game. And there's a big screen outside and inside as well, but you actually are like sitting inside this giant pod fighting machine, and you kill all the other guys, and you're actually fighting each other. And the more kills you get versus the amount of time you died, the higher your score. So by the end of it, everybody can watch from outside. So it looks like good fun. I think a round is 10 minutes. And I didn't actually do it. I ended up just watching it. But it looks like a whole lot of fun. They accept generics. So make sure if you want to play that next year that you get generic tickets. And that's it. Oh, 19 minutes, well, 20 minutes. Sorry. That's everything. That's all for this video. I'm going to link everything down in the down bar. Hope I didn't ramble too much, and I really hope to see you guys at Gen Con next year. If you have any questions about any of the games I played or people that I talked about, anything like that, either log onto the Gen Con forums and ask somebody, or just ask me down below. You can always PM me. I should be able to get back to you soon enough. So hope you guys have a great day, and those are the games I've played. Bye!